Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me smile when I get time to talk with an unheralded Canadian legend. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more, as always. My name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go on a limb and assume that you do because you're listening to us right now. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can find us over at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, basically wherever you get your podcasts. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would really appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to follow us on social media. You can find us over at Facebook, over at Twitter, and over at Instagram. Either at In the Seats or at It's Podcast One for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because if we love to write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a fun one, and we're talking some Canadian cinema as well because it's going to be in theaters tomorrow, and it is called Donkeyhead from writer-director Agam Darshi. It's a Regina-based film, but it's such a fantastic Canadian story, and it's such a fantastic sort of human story too. It's a really interesting story. It's basically the story of Mona, who's played by Darshi. She's a failed writer, but she carves out a little life of isolation while caring for her Sikh father. But when he has a debilitating stroke, her three siblings, who are much more successful than she is, show up on her doorstep, determined to take control of the situation and of her life as well. It's one of those stories we can all relate to. It's such a fantastic film. We've got conversations with Agam coming later, and tomorrow probably. But first, we had the distinct pleasure of talking with her co-star, the one and only Mr. Kim Coates, who you may know from things like Sons of Anarchy, or things like Goon, or even movies like Last Boy Scout, which we talked about a little bit. But the guy has been there, done that. He is a genuine Canadian acting icon, and we talked about sort of the joys of doing a movie like this, and how it's getting out there into the universe now, as well as sort of, his philosophy on life, almost, really. Just looking back on a long career and being a lucky guy doing what he's doing. But we had a fantastic talk, which I know you're going to enjoy. But also be sure to go check out Kim Coates in Donkeyhead, which is going to be in select theaters across Canada tomorrow. But like I said first, let's talk with Kim and revel in our Canadianness. I don't blame you, man. I love being Canadian, but I do not like the weather.
I love being Canadian too.
Now, I mean, obviously, first off, I just want to say congrats on Donkeyhead, man. I really enjoyed the film. I mean, I guess my first question is just walk me through, I guess, receiving a Gum script and sort of getting approached to be a part of this.
I'm so glad that you and everyone's responding that way, because isn't it good?
Yeah.
Isn't it such a good film, bro? I mean, it's a dramedy, okay? It was written, Agam wrote it, stars in it, directed it, co-produced it, got me to be in it. This was a passion project of hers for a while. And, Anand Ramaya and Kelly Ballin, the two producers of Saskatchewan Boys, I've worked with them on 4, 5, 6 movies now, being a Saskatchewan boy. I'll run home to eat a hot dog with Brett Butt if he asks me to and pay me no money. I mean, I'm a pure Saskatchewan boy at heart. So to know that this was going to be shot in Regina, unfortunately, it was frickin' January. Yeah. I have no time for that coldness anymore. I'm such a baby. But look, we got it financed. Here we go. We're doing it. So what it was like was, it was amazing. Agam was smart enough to bring all the leads together for 2 or 3 days of rehearsal. so we could rehearse, get all the questions out of the way, so that once we started on the ground running, and with the COVID thing happening, it was a year ago, so we did it the right way with the masks and the shields and getting tested every day and all that stuff to keep the company safe, which we did. I'm just so always in shock and awe when the film turns out even better than what you thought it would. For me, between you and me, Dave, even though a lot of people are going to see this and hear it, I thought it was going to have a bit more comedy in it. It's really a drama with comedy in it.
Yeah.
When I first read it, I thought it was going to be even funnier, but I think Autumn's through line of how she wanted to edit this picture, it became a very meaningful. She plays a girl called Mona.
Yeah.
It became a very meaningful journey for Mona. Not that it's not funny, because it's freaking funny, but man, it really hits you in the heart, doesn't it?
No, it really does. I mean, it's such a human story. And I mean, I'm so glad it's like a humanistic story, and it's also an immigrant story, but it's set in Saskatchewan. Like if this had been set in Vancouver or Toronto or Montreal, it feels like it would have played differently.
Oh, what a great point. Yeah, it's in the middle of the prairies. And this is not my big fat Greek wedding at all. There are elements maybe about it that are, but this is a Punjabi and Sikh family in Regina. And we're not hiding it to be Vancouver. We're not hiding it to be Seattle. It's Regina. And I play a lawyer who's got his own issues with his own wife. I'm struggling to find out who the hell I am at my age. I'm a foil for Mona. Our relationship is different. It's not like any of the other siblings that she has in this movie. So it was well thought out. And for me to be able to help Agam in some of the scenes when she was directing us, and for me to, I've produced many things now, and I love producing, but I'm still basically primarily an actor. To see her process was incredible. And the Mona Brent relationship is kind of different from anybody else in the film.
Well, and you know what? I mean, I think that really sums it up well. And I mean, especially in that scene earlier in the film where you two were together and you're talking about making love, and she's like, no, we're not making love, we're fucking. And I mean, I think that really captures such a perfect sort of human tone to this kind of story. It's not trying to sugarcoat it. It's not trying to whitewash anything. It's families that have problems and personalities, and it's people that have problems and personalities all sort of intersecting with one another.
Oh, such a great point. And I'll never forget that day, because when you do have a love scene or a sex scene or whatever you want to call it, and they're all different. This was something that Agam talked to me right off the get-go and said, look, I obviously this film and this scene means a lot. So let's do it the right way. And obviously it'll be completely above board on every level. However, I hate movies that when you are making love or having, and they have underwear on, or you just pop out of bed and there's and she goes, would you mind maybe just being naked, and we'll put it's called a cock sock and all those things. Would you mind? I go, I'm in, but I'm playing this guy kind of chubby. So I added lines like, fat man walking and stuff, and she loved it all. And to be intimate with her, and yet, as you just said, there's lines in there that we're not sugarcoating anything. The writing is what the writing is, and to be completely safe and trustworthy of your co-star in an intimate scene like that was something I certainly won't forget, and loved Agam's professional attitude and my professional attitude, and it worked out funny. It's kind of sad at the end, but it's sexy. I think it gives all the elements that hopefully she was looking for when she wrote it.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, in watching it, I really think it's a really good sort of tentpole and thing to sort of hold up there as a fantastic example of something that's really truly Canadian cinema. Because I mean, our stories are so diverse and they're so multifaceted. And I mean, this to me, and I mean, again, I think that this is yet another example of stuff that you've done as well. It's really a genuine piece of Canadian cinema that we can hold to the world and go, these are the kind of stories we tell. They're real stories, they're human stories. And I'm kind of curious from your perspective, because throughout your career, you've been doing a lot of stuff. You've done a lot of Canadian stuff. You've done a lot of Hollywood stuff. How have you seen sort of
our side of the business evolve in terms of being storytellers and getting our stuff out there on the global stage?
Oh, I mean, listen, you can't go anywhere anymore. I mean, I spent 5 months doing an HBO miniseries that's coming out in May called White House Plumbers with Justin Theroux and Woody Harrelson and me and Dave Mandel directed. 5 months in New York. I mean, it's about Nixon. It's epic. It's like millions of dollar budget. It's huge, right? Every single one of them know I'm Canadian. Every single one of them go, God, I love Toronto, or God, I filmed in Vancouver. We've always had this thing about Canadians is we work hard and we're good at what we do in the business. I'm telling you, bro, the crews are getting better and better and better. But the one element for me, there's always been exception to that rule where a Canadian film will pop. Most, not all, came from French, like from the French Canadian side, like Quebec. They
Right.
do their own cinema there. They do it well. It's world renowned, it wins awards. But the Canadian stories 30 years ago and 20 are different than they are today.
Yeah.
We're becoming better at it. We're becoming better at telling a fucking story the way we lived it and experienced. It's not Canadian, it's now international.
Exactly.
And the cameras are better. It looks better. It looks more gritty. We shoot in these red digital cameras now that you can just keep it rolling and do it again and do it again. We're becoming better editors and we're becoming better writers. And for Agam to write, star, produce, and direct this picture, as you just said, and it looks amazing. Like Leo Heron, our DP, forget about it. He's Brazilian. He's unbelievable. We're working 16-hour days. We're in Regina. It's -30 every day. I mean, we how did we even come up with making look the way we did? But the story and the stories we're telling as Canadians have never been better. My Bad Blood series, for example,
Yeah.
that was riveting. Mark Montefiore, riveting, right? And Pretty Hard Cases, the Cameron Girls, and Sherry White and CBC, those two lead female cops. It's hysterical and gritty. We're just becoming better at it, and the world is noticing. It's a great place to be.
No, and you know what? I mean, there is something inherently not just cinematic, but also Canadian about sort of being able to appreciate a drive-by shot on the highway of an A&W just going down the highway. It's something that we can appreciate. It's definitely something for us to appreciate for sure when you see that on the screen.
So true. Love that.
Now, I mean, I've got to ask because, I mean, obviously you've been around a minute, you've been working in the business for a while, and you've managed in a lot of films to have a lot of scene stealing moments. I mean, I think the first one I remember you in was Last Boy Scout. That was so much fun. And I mean, from Goon to Open Range to all this stuff you've done, I'm kind of curious because, I mean, obviously when you're reading for parts, you're going out, you can't always, how do you sort of manage to sort of find those moments to sort of be memorable? Because, I mean, parts won't always necessarily allow you to do that.
Oh, I don't know, Dave. Look, all I know is I stumbled into acting. I found my true love. I met my wife in college. We're still married after all these years. It's just a miracle, but we've raised two beautiful daughters together, and that's amazing. I have so many good friends in the business and out of the business. Listen, the one thing I will say about me is I've never, ever been afraid to fail. I've never, ever not been afraid to study and all that theater I did early. And when I went to Toronto, I was like 23 and all my big agents said, "Oh, we're going to get you into films right away." I said, "No, more stage. 2 years at Stratford, youngest Macbeth ever, directed by John Neville. Right to Broadway, Streetcar Named Desire, 1988, took over for Aidan Quinn. Dracula, Les Liaisons Dangereux in Louisville, Kentucky. I mean, I did it all. And then Marion Doherty, when I'm on Broadway, discovers Kim Coates. I auditioned for a little thing called The Last Boy Scout. I meet the late Tony Scott and Phil Silver, and I got the part, and it's Bruce Willis, and it's a movie star, and it's a small little part. But that scene is memorable because I was not afraid to do it. I'll never forget Tony Scott saying to me, Bruce Willis, he's a buddy of mine now, Bruce, and we've done 3 things together. And Bruce goes, "Okay, like when I hit him in the nose, he should fall back in the pool. And I remember taking Tony aside, and I'm just this nobody actor. And I remember taking Tony aside and said, "Tony, I don't really think that's the way it should go." And he goes, "What do you want to do, mate? What do you want to do?" I said, I think I should fall down like a little boy. He goes, okay, we're gonna do one for Kim. Kim, we're gonna do one for Kim. All right, Bruce, one for Kim. I do the freaking scene. They had 2 cameras, and I plopped down on my bum, fell right over, cut. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's going, you've got to be joking. Even Willis went, oh, that'll work. And so I wasn't afraid to even go to Tony Scott and go, I don't want to fall into the pool. That's not, I think it's this. And it was so funny. No one can forget that scene. So that propelled Warner Brothers, me, all the movies, green card, became an American citizen. I'm Canadian first, always will be. But here we are talking to you.
Now, I mean, born out of that, I mean, your speech in Goon with Michael on the bus will obviously be legendary. Like, did he write that for you? Or like, was that a moment that he sort of manufactured out of sort of other moments that you had?
They offered me the part right away. Jay did, Michael Dowse did, got Liev Schreiber to come on board. Are you kidding me? That cast?
Yeah.
And Scott, well, I mean, come on. I mean, are you joking? How much fun? And Jay, who wrote it and starred in it, and Michael Dowse, who's just a comic genius director, man, they just would let me go. Just go. And I remember doing that speech kind of slower and kind of quiet. And Michael Dowse said, okay, that's great, but now could you just rip them a new asshole? Like, just scream the whole thing. I said, I don't see. I said, I know, but can we? Well, it ended up being that's the one they used for the movie. This isn't fucking baseball. And really giving it to them. And I can't tell you, bro. I mean, I played hockey my whole life, Dave. And the amount of people that come up to me and go, could you please coach the Winnipeg Jets right now? Could you just please come and take over the Oilers? Can you just be behind? And there's always a part of me that would just love to do that for one season, just one freaking season, man. That's how much I love the game of hockey. And that's how much I love Canada.
And you know what, man? I mean, I think what you said about having that, not having that fear to fail. I mean, I think that's such an important lesson to apply, especially to this business. And I mean, I'm just kind of curious for you at the end of the day, what do you hope the legacy is when people remember Kim Coates? Is it sort of the flashier, smaller bits? Is it stuff like this film? Is it stuff like See For Me, which I got to see earlier this year, which was fantastic? Like, what, at the end of the day, what do you hope the pull away from the work is for you when you're said and done?
You know, I don't know, but I will say this, that I'm in Georgia right now filming a movie I can't talk about. I'm number 1 on the call sheet. I have an Oscar winner who wrote it and is directing it. I turned it down first because the character was too dark. I talked to this person who I can't mention. We changed the character that I could actually find myself making him more real, not just on that side of the railroad tracks, which is so dark. And he did all of the stuff that I said. And here I am. I mean, I'm taking teeth out to play this guy. I'm talking about this the whole fucking time. I mean, it's just like down here in the South. And it's hard to sleep with. But the cast have continually said to me, which makes me that I guess I'm just very giving and I want to help. And I love conversing. And yet I demand respect for all the actors when it's time to go. Don't be opening pops of pop and don't be talking. It's like we're all in this together, right? And so I don't know. I my charities, I'm very proud of all that. And I'm proud of my daughter, Brenna, who's just massively talented, NYU, been on Broadway, won an Obie and a Drama Desk Award for a play called The Wolves. We've got a huge film opening together with Dana Abrams coming up this year called Neon Lights. Wow. There's just so much going around, Dave, that for me to have talked to you about Donkeyhead is just another example of something that worked out, of something that we actually casted. We did it with all the tax incentive issues that we have in Saskatchewan. We still did it there. And the producers were incredible. Agam's incredible. I'm talking to you about it. So my legacy is literally, I'm just a Canadian boy who stumbled into the business and I get to talk to you. I don't worry about any of that. I mean, the social media is so nuts now. And you know, that fucking orange hair guy who ran this country for 4 years. I mean, it's a crazy time. So I try and stay as grounded as I can and talking to you about art that means something and people need to watch, like Donkeyhead is just a really special part of my day.
Man, keep doing the good work.
Thanks, bro.
Talk to you later.
Great, Dave. Anytime. I mean that. You reach out anytime. I'll talk to you anytime, bro. Those are great questions.
All right. Cheers. Thanks again, Kim.
Peace, buddy.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.